Today I want to talk to you about how to summarize both fiction and nonfiction. So, nonfiction is slightly different than fiction. Nonfiction will always have a topic, a main idea about the topic, and then generally at least 3 or more details to support that main idea. Fiction will have characters and a setting, a beginning, middle, and end of a story. There will also be a conflict that should be resolved by the end of the story. So let's start with summarizing nonfiction. Nonfiction texts teach, inform, and explain real things, just as a reminder. 3 steps to summarize nonfiction. 1. Read the entire text, noting the topic of the text. 2. Summarize in your own words what the main idea of the text is. 3. Paraphrase the details that show or explain the main idea of the text. Let's examine these more closely step by step. Step 1 is read the entire text, noting the topic. Now, when you read, you should read actively and engage your brain. Here are some thoughts like, what is this about? What does this word mean? One of my personal favorites. Whoa, that's controversial. You know I like to put double exclamation marks by that. Hey, that's a flawed argument, or whoa, this is a great quote. But really try to engage and pay attention to what you're reading. Number 2, summarize in your own words what the main idea of the text is. Now, the main idea of a text is the most important point the author is making about a subject or topic. So they're going to pick a side of an idea, generally speaking, and they're going to try and prove it. 3, paraphrase the details that show or explain the main idea of the text. So they're going to make a statement, and you're going to find some details that will support that. Details might be examples, personal observations and experiences. Definitely should be some facts, statistics, and maybe even some opinions. Here is an example. This is an article that I got from Common Lit. 2 farmers, Tom and Ann, live only miles apart down a narrow blacktop road in central Illinois. Each year they plant seeds in the same rich soil and face the same hot, sticky summers. 50 years ago, these neighbors may have had a lot in common. Nowadays, Tom and Ann have different ideas about what to grow and how to grow it. Tom grew up on his farm. When he was a kid, his dad farmed about 80 acres. A big farm back then was 240 acres. Today, Tom uses tractors, sprayers, and combines to do the work much faster. As a result, he is able to farm 700 acres of corn and soybeans. Tom's tractor is connected to a computer and a GPS system to help him plant seeds and distribute chemical fertilizers efficiently. Scientifically designed seeds called hybrids help Tom to win battles against weeds, pests, and drought. Special herbicides keep weeds away but allow the corn and soybeans to thrive. Thanks to these changes, Tom can produce almost 3 times more bushels of grain per acre than his father did. 10 years ago, Anne started up a small 15-acre farm. She believes in a different kind of farming and eating called the slow food movement. Italian Carlo Petrini started the slow food movement to help people combat the crazy speed of the fast life, eat good local food, and preserve the environment. Like Petrini, Anne wants to keep the soil rich for years to come. So, instead of chemical fertilizers, she mixes compost and dead fish into her soil. Compost is a fertilizer made of decayed plant and animal materials. Anne plows her fields with a tractor. Then, to save fuel, she pulls out the hand tools. She hires 3 or 4 helpers each season to plant seeds for hundreds of different vegetables, from broccoli to turnips and chard. Anne is not concerned about the quantity of food as she is about the quality of it. In the fall, Tom sells his corn and soybeans to a grain dealer. Some of Tom's grain becomes animal feed, and some is used to make renewable fuels like ethanol. A portion of Tom's grain is often shipped on a barge to countries around the world. Unlike Tom, Anne keeps her products very close to home. She mainly sells her food at farmers markets and to individual customers who visit her farm on a weekly basis. Anne's market may seem small, but it is growing. In the past 10 years, the number of farmers markets in Illinois has almost tripled. Neither Tom nor Anne knows exactly what the future of farming will be. Tom's grandfather never would have dreamt that technology could advance as far as it has today. Anne hopes farmers will plan more for the well-being of future generations. Both hope that their farms will continue to succeed, providing people with some of their most important and basic needs. All right, if you notice, I've taken notes along the side, and here is a handy-dandy right here, super fun fact that will always be helpful. In nonfiction texts, the main idea is often found in the first and last sentences of the first, generally speaking, and last paragraphs. But let's look at the first paragraph. It ends with, nowadays Tom and Anne have different ideas about what to grow and how to grow it. So I paraphrased that and said, two farmers have different ideas about how to grow crops. Then this next paragraph is all about the first farmer, Tom. So I jotted down some notes. Tom uses modern technology to farm 700 acres. Tractors, sprayers, and combines, he uses those. He uses computers, or a computer and GPS, as well as scientifically designed seeds, special herbicides. The result for him is that he produces 3 times more grain per acre than his dad did. If you notice, I left out a lot of fun facts about Tom when he was a kid, about his dad, about their farm back then. I just left that out. I don't really feel like they were important details to the gist of our story about the farmers having different ideas about how to grow crops. Then we move on to Anne. So Anne started the slow food movement, or she's engaged with that. She believes in that. That means she likes to eat good local food and preserve the environment. She doesn't use chemical fertilizers. She does use a tractor and hand tools. The result of her work is that she has a quality food, but really not a large quantity of food. We go back to Tom. Tom sells to dealers for feed and fuel around the world. And Anne sells at the farmer's market and to individual people. The ending states that neither know the future of farming, but both hope for success and continue to help provide for others. So, in a summary, let's combine this. Two farmers have different ideas about how to grow crops. Tom uses modern technology to farm 700 acres. In addition to using tractors, he uses sprayers, combines, a computer, GPS, scientifically designed seeds, and special herbicides. He produces more grain per acre than his dad, which he sells around the world for feed and fuel. Anne wants to eat good local food and preserve the environment. She uses compost instead of chemical fertilizers. She does use a tractor, but also hand tools to preserve the environment. She values the quality of food, not the quantity. Both farmers are happy and hope for continued success. Many tasks you all come upon asks for the lesson learned. So as an aside, I just added that here. So one lesson might be that there is more than one way to define success. All right, so I hope that helps you summarize how to summarize a nonfiction article. Now, let's move on to summarizing fiction. You may have seen the 5-finger retell. In fiction, when you retell, you need setting, characters, a problem, the events from the beginning, the middle, and the end, as well as the solution. All right? So let's use Goldilocks as an example. I have only written a summary, and it's a brief summary of Goldilocks. Here you go. A girl named Goldilocks was wandering through the woods when she comes upon a house, and she goes into it. She tries 3 bowls of porridge, One is too hot, one is too cold, and the third is just right, so she eats it all. She then sits in 3 chairs. One is too big, one rocks too fast, the third is just right, so she rocks and rocks until she breaks it. She's then tired, so she then lays in 3 beds. One is too hard, one is too soft, and the third is just right, so she falls asleep in it. The 3 bears come home to see their porridge eaten, chair broken, and a girl asleep in a bed. Goldilocks wakes up, sees the bears, and runs all the way home unscathed. So we've got Goldilocks and the 3 bears as our characters. The setting is a house in the woods. We have the beginning, the middle, and then the end. I added in a theme because often you are asked for that. And one theme might be it's dangerous to mess with other people's stuff. All right, here are some top tips when writing a summary. Be sure to include important information, but leave out information that might be interesting, but it isn't important. It doesn't support a main idea. And finally, put the details in the same chronological order. I hope this has helped you learn how to summarize both fiction and nonfiction.